This shit ain't for kids, bruh. What up everyone, it's your boy Xmanny87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is the Marvel Legends Gamerverse Avengers Wave Abomination Build-A-Figure action figure review. Before I get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now with that said, I try to stay away from spoilers in the game as I hate spoilers, and this is one of those reveals I got spoiled by at New York Toy Fair. I said to myself, shit, but happy at the same time when I saw how amazing this figure looks like. Anyways, let's dive in and take a look at the Gamerverse Abomination. First, let's take a look at the head sculpt, and I think this is looking really good. Lots of scales and bones, and the first thing I notice is that the face print tech isn't present like all the other Gamerverse figures. So it's just regularly painted and you get these, eye shadow. But let's just admire the small little details here. I like the teeth, how it's razor sharp crocodile-like teeth. And then you get the tongue sculpted inside. Yeah, the teeth is missing some paint right there on the side. Looks like he has a missing tooth. Kind of reminds me of that scene in the Incredible Hulk movie. Is that all you've got? That 2008 Incredible Hulk movie is a guilty pleasure of mine. I really miss Ed Norton as Bruce Banner. I like that Hulk movie. Don't judge me. Got a lot of scales sculpted and textured nicely throughout. And then ears, man, look at that. We get the Abomination ears, something the MCU did not give him. And looking at the side, back of the head, there's lots of spikes going on with this guy. Definitely get a Killer Croc kind of vibe with him. I like the two-tone shades of green. You get the darker green, and then you get this lighter green. So you'll see that throughout the figure. And just noticing that the ears are a little colored. Kind of has like a pinkish hue to it. Looking at the side profile right there. Man, this thing is fierce. I just absolutely love it. Taking a look at the rest of the body. Man, this guy is massive. Just a monstrosity. And he's pretty heavy too, but lots of sculpting on the scales to admire. Definitely looks like he has a big case of epidermolytic hyperkeratosis, which is the same skin condition that Killer Croc suffers from. Also, never Google that. That shit's scary. Really like the nice two tones of green paint we get, the darker green on the outside, the light green in the middle, and I like how some of these dark spots on the lighter pigmentation of the skin gives it a more rugged look. Man, the sculpting is awesome. Definitely very bumpy feeling throughout, and then I don't know if these are Abomination nipples or just part of that skin texture. I want to know something about this torso that's new to Build-A-Figures. Is that we get a freaking butterfly joint, man. That is so damn cool. Now, this is the first Hasbro Build-A-Figure to feature that point of articulation. If you recall, the last Build-A-Figure to do so was the Toy Biz Giant Man. So the fact that we haven't had that on a Build-A-Figure in how many freaking years, right? That Giant Man wave was, what, 2005, 2006? You know, this is something to celebrate right now. But this is great for those big baths, as you won't experience the torso splitting when moving the arms back like the Monster Venom Baf did, for example. So this is one of those Build-A-Figures that the torso you have to connect. You know, the front piece connects to the back piece. So you won't have to worry about that splitting. As you can see, I'm moving it back, moving it up. Normally that would split. It does not, and I'm happy to report that. Then looking at the back of the figure, you get a lot of these spiky bones traveling down his spine, and it's a little bit pliable. And it's painted in a nice beige color to match that of the head. Doesn't have it on the arms though, but we'll get to that. These two bones right here are left out, so that's just painted green. Should have been the same color here, but you get that nice dark tone again. Lots of these rock-like textured scales sculpted all over his back, and this just feels gross and awesome at the same time. Freaking awesome. And I love that we get this nice torso swivel. It gives him lots of range, you know, when you're trying to move this big guy around. It's super dope. You know, the head gets some good range as well. For the arms, he has these spiky bones on his shoulders that are not painted in the same colors as the spine, and then you get some of that nice Nice scaly texture throughout. Sculpt on this is just beautiful. I really like the variation of green that we're getting on here. And then he has these spiky elbows, which remind me of the MCU version. Just love that fight scene where Hulk pulled out that elbow bone and stabbed him with it. That was brutal. Then, you know, you get some spikes right there on the forearm, some more scaly texture. Then with the hands right here, you got this nice scaly sculpt going on. You got the claws right there, and they're both different hands. So this one is more of a open hand. This one is more of a gripping type of open hand. So if you want to display him with choking one of your action figures by the throat, then you can totally do it with this hand. And the hand also has that lighter shade of green inside, which is very nice. As you can see, the claws are not painted, so I can't judge how video game accurate it is along with the rest of the bones that are not painted, because I want to stay away from everything until the game comes out so that I know what will be his final look. Looking at the lower body here, he has no waist swivel, so you'll have to depend on the upper torso for any type of swivel. He's got these torn up shorts in black with some texture as well, so that looks pretty neat. He's got this unbuckled belt, so again, nice texturing throughout, and then that goes all around. And then one thing that's really cool, like the previous comic Hulk, the tattered parts of the pants or shorts, whatever, they are sculpted separately, and it's pretty pliable too, so that is impressive as hell. I could definitely see them maybe reusing this for some AIM monsters like that custom Hasbro had on display at San Diego Comic-Con 2017, I believe. Man, I would be all over that to army build some AIM monsters to take on our Avengers, Shield, and the Shield Mandroids. And again, you get that nice lighter shade of green skin tone in the inner thighs, so that's pretty neat. And looking at the rest of the legs, you get more of that awesome bumpy type sculpting from the scales, and then bumps all over. And this guy actually has spikes on his calves as well. And this guy could probably stab his own ass with that. And look at this, you get some swivel at the shin, so that's really cool. And then my man's feet are crazy here with 6 toenails with one Velociraptor looking toenail right there. So shit, I would hate to be stomped by this guy. And you get that nice sculpting of the scales, and nothing on the bottom of the feet but peg holes, and you get the shape of his bottom toes. And there you go, that was our full look at the Gamerverse Abomination, and this guy's just such a monstrosity. I mean, this guy measures at, let me get the measurement stick here, and it is 9 inches tall. So this guy definitely has that big Build-A-Figure feel that I love. And just to show you a head swap between the two, and yo, this looks funny as hell. Surprisingly, the skin tone matches, but the head doesn't plug in all the way, so it's just sitting and resting on there. And as for the comic head on the Gamerverse body, you know what? It does not look bad at all. Yeah, the skin tone is a little bit on the light side, but I feel like it kind of matches this part. As for the darker shade of the skin, the back of the head kind of matches that tone a little bit, not all the way. The head sits on the peg perfectly. However, on the side, you're going to get a big gap. So that's a bummer. Let me see if I could hunch it down. No, still the same. Let me try the San Diego Comic-Con head one, because that one is darker in tone. Okay, damn. I think this might do. It does go with the darker skin tone here. Now looking at it from afar, holy crap, I think we are lit here, fam. Wow, now seeing this Abomination with the comic one compared to Hulk, is it crazy for me to ask for a redo since the comic one is about 4 years old now? The Gamerverse one makes the comic one look puny in comparison. Now to cover articulation with the Gamerverse Abomination, his head moves that far up, and that's okay because his back is naturally sculpted to be hunched over. It moves that far down, his head will move left, right, and all around, and he does have some good pivoting, which is really good, and it does rock around. His arms only move that far up because of the spiky bones, but you get that nice shoulder rocker back and forth, and if you want to move his arm higher, you can just move that shoulder joint back and raise it up higher. It moves down and all around. You got the shoulder swivel, you got the bicep swivel, and an elbow swivel. Single jointed elbow that only bends in that far. and then you have his wrist swivel and a wrist hinge. You got a diaphragm joint that moves that far forward and that far back. You got a swivel at the upper torso. It pivots really good and it rocks around. His legs move that far apart, so really good. And then his leg moves that far up and that far back. The legs rock around. You got the thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and oh my god, a Build-A-Figure with heel to the butt? No, not all the way. Well, I'm gonna cheat anyway and go boop. Still, that is super impressive for a really big figure. You get a shin swivel. His feet move that far up and that far down, really good, and then he has that awesome ankle pivot. And now for some comparisons, here is our Gamerverse Abomination next to two MCU Hulks. On the left we have the Age of Ultron Hulk, and on the right we have the Hulk Build-A-Figure from the Endgame wave. I can see a lot of collectors putting this Abomination in their MCU displays, but to me, I won't put him there simply because those were two completely different looks. But do what you want with your collection, as you have every right to. Got nothing but love for that. If I'm to be honest with you, I think this Gamerverse Abomination looks so much better than the MCU one. Here he is next to our two comic Hulk versions. And this isn't the first time Abomination has been a Build-A-Figure. On the left is the comic styled Build-A-Figure from the Captain America Civil War wave. And on the right is the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive raft set Abomination. And here he is next to his cousin Killer Croc. Just kidding, I mentioned Killer Croc before, so I figured I'd do a random comparison here. Literally, if you paint this guy's shorts in blue, you have a Marvel Legends Killer Croc. And here are all 5 Gamerverse 6-inch figures to come out under the Marvel Legends banner. Finally, here he is next to his fellow wave mates. And now for on the shelf, here is the Gamerverse Abomination in my newly started Gamerverse shelf. And man, that gap filled up pretty quickly. He is huge. Look at him next to the Injustice Storm Collectibles Bane, even with this crouched over pose. Alright, and now to wrap things up, my final rating is a 10 out of 10. Total awesomeness. OMFG, this Baf is absolutely amazing. For a really big Baf, he has some great range of motion and articulation. Those shoulder rocker joints are an A++ on a Baf, since we haven't seen it on a Build-A-Figure since Toy Biz, making this the first Hasbro Baf to feature this POA. The sculpting on this guy is insane. So many details and texture on the skin with the scales and bones. Makes you feel like you have a monster in your hands. It is a massive monstrosity. Speaking of monsters, even if you don't want this in your collection, photographers such as myself will find this to be a great figure to have and pit it against certain characters who are monster slayers in your collection, like a Wonder Woman, Kratos, Elsa Bloodstone, etc. So it's always cool to have monster looking characters for the collection because of that. I can see people using this as a substitute for a movie version on their MCU displays until an official MCU release. I love everything about this figure. The video game nerd in me is excited to have this on my Gamerverse display and looking forward to playing a boss battle against Abomination in this new Avengers game. So now I kick it back to you guys. What do you guys think about this figure? Are you looking forward to the Abomination boss battle in the game? Comment below, let me know. Please drop a like rating on the video, comment, we'll chat about it. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, link is in the description below. Get your Marvel Legends Gamerverse Avengers wave at Big Bad Toy Store, link is in the description below. Check out my website at xmanny87.com to view my photo gallery. Hit the notification bell so you know when my videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next review. Peace, peace.